Am I the asshole for warning my brother about a birthday surprise? I'll keep this brief. My little brother just turned 30 last week, and something I did has caused a bit of a problem. Me and my brother Nate both live in a smallish town, and we kinda have overlapping friend groups. One friend that we share is named Tyler. Tyler's your typical bachelor lifestyle kinda guy, while I enjoy my family life, and Nate enjoys his solitude and routine. About a month ago, Tyler told me that he wanted to take Nate to a strip club in the city for his birthday. I know my brother very well, and Nate has made it clear on multiple occasions that he does not like the idea of strip clubs. I told Tyler as much, and he responded with, he would like it once he's there. Tyler then tells me that his plan was to get Nate to agree to go somewhere else and then just take him to the city instead, like a pseudo-kidnapping. I told Tyler that's a bad idea and that would just piss off Nate. Tyler didn't care and thought that it'd be fun. Not long after Tyler told me his plan, I relayed all the info to Nate as a warning of Tyler's shenanigans. Nate thanked me for the warning. The day of Nate's birthday, I got multiple texts from Tyler asking if I knew where Nate was because no one could find him or get him on the phone. I genuinely didn't know where he was because we weren't doing anything for his birthday until the following weekend. I found out yesterday that Nate ducked everybody on his birthday by going out of town to his girlfriend's parents' house for the day. Nate's girlfriend let Tyler know that I warned Nate, and now Tyler's pissed at me because he had booked a private room and a specialty service at the club and isn't getting his money back. A bunch of mutual friends believe that what I did was a dick move, but there's several others saying that I did the right thing by Nate as he would have had a horrible time. Am I the asshole? Edit, just because I've seen a few comments already, Nate just started dating this girl around 4 months ago, and I've met her 3 times. I don't know her well enough to comment on her actions or intentions. She seems chill though, and it could be that she wasn't made aware of the entire situation when Tyler asked her for info. In the comments, not the asshole. For Tyler, it wasn't about Nate's special day, but about him showing off? Having an excuse to spend money at the strip club? Anyways, it was about him and not Nate's birthday. Entitled much. You did right by your brother. And OP says, Tyler has a history of helping people celebrate things, and this might have been the first time that someone told him no, and he didn't take it seriously. Not the asshole. Good looking out. Not sure why they had to lose out on any money. They still could have gone to the strip club without Nate. And OP says, so I learned from a different mutual that the private room was for 2 hours, and they wasted too much time waiting for Nate that they missed out on the room. Not the asshole. You spared your brother from being blindsided and having a miserable birthday. Clearly, Tyler was trying to make your brother's birthday all about himself and what he wanted to do. Zero thought or care about what your brother would actually enjoy. Who cares if Tyler's pissed? He clearly has no respect for your brother. Let him be pissed. And OP says, there's a part of me that thinks Tyler genuinely believed Nate would enjoy it once he got there. Tyler has been doing stuff like this for years, and usually everyone has a great time. This might have been the first time someone told him no. Here I am forgetting the start of the story where my little brother just turned 30 last week. I got to the end and through all these comments and I'm like, yeah, is he turning like 18 or something? No, like, Tyler, what the hell's wrong with you? Brother, if a 30-year-old has already made up his mind about what he likes and what he doesn't like, there's no way you're gonna pressure him into a private room with a specialty service. I get the mentality of the mutual friends being like, oh, that was a dick move. He was gonna have a great time. What are you wasting everyone's money for? Like, come on guys, get off it. It's not that deep. Tyler wasted his own money. Mutual mates wasted their own money by not just going to the room themselves anyway. They only have themselves to blame for this one, being a bunch of dickheads. So no, not the asshole OP. You did right by your brother. And now, onto the update. After posting this yesterday and seeing some of the initial responses, I did feel a lot less guilty. I also felt like maybe I was missing too many details myself, so I decided to go talk to Tyler in person. I want to start this off by saying that I don't think Tyler is a bad person, he's just the town party guy. He could honestly have a great career as an event planner if he wanted. After talking with Tyler last night, I can safely say that the vast majority of what is going on is all due to miscommunications from everybody. Let's start with the party itself. The main reason that a lot of our mutual friends were mad is because they thought either Tyler told me all the financial details and I still ruined it, or they thought that I just wanted to ruin the surprise. The private room he booked basically meant they got their own private stage and dancer for 2 hours. The specialty service was actually a funny birthday-themed event involving a cake and a birthday crown. As for Tyler, I don't believe there was any selfish motivation involved in his thought process. I swear Nate has some minor undiagnosed form of autism and might be the first guy that Tyler has met that doesn't like strip clubs. Our town has less than 50 businesses total, and 3 of them are strip clubs for a reason. Tyler also told me that he had no idea that Nate was seeing anyone, which I honestly believe because Nate is not the most outspoken of us and tends to just be a wallflower during most of our gatherings. I know Tyler comes across as a douche on paper, but he does have good intentions. Lastly, for Nate's girlfriend, I'm going to call her Abby for simplicity's sake. Abby was the most misinformed out of anyone here. At her parents' house, she saw Nate's phone blowing up, and Nate only said that there was a party that Tyler wanted him to go to, but he wasn't interested. When Abby asked him why he wasn't interested, Nate mentioned that I told him about it earlier in the week, which is why he made the plans to be here instead. Once they came back to town the next morning, they ran into Tyler at my dad's diner, and that's when she mentioned my name. We have all talked, and everyone is on the same page now. No one's mad at each other, and the dust has settled. I do want to thank everyone for reading and commenting. The support that I got from the comments section helped me get through the day. Hopefully this is the only update that I need to post. And OP clarifies on what they did for Nate's birthday. Our parents and I worked during the week and couldn't do anything substantial on the actual birthday, so Saturday we did a rage room. We got him a tattoo and then took him to his favorite restaurant. In the comments, Overall Search says, I haven't been to a strip club before, but I can't imagine a worst first strip club experience to be my birthday. I would probably get seriously depressed if my birthday was about hoisting tent with my homies eating cake near women who don't want to be there. It's like the feeling of the waitstaff coming to the table to sing happy birthday, but so much worse. They don't want to be there, I don't want them to be there, but one jackass thinks that it's hilarious, so we all have to suffer. I'm actually a little triggered by this because I've been Nate more times than I can count. Neurodivergence aside, Nate is clearly introverted. And there's this massive egocentrism on the part of Tyler, thinking that putting him in a loud, uncomfortable, and sexual setting without his consent would yield anything other than complete misery for Nate. The sheer inability to consider that Nate's experience might not be the same as his is effing offensive. I hate people like that. Inconsiderate, self-centered prick. Quote, as for Tyler, I don't believe there was any selfish motivation involved in his thought process. OP is being way too generous to Tyler here. Even if you think that he genuinely believed his idea was something Nate would like, his insistence in spite of everything that his own brother was telling him is still selfish. Also, I genuinely don't know a single male in my family or circle of friends who likes strip clubs. I cannot, for the life of me, understand how anyone can like them, but each to their own. It seems to me that a lot of people are confusing OP's words, saying that not liking strip clubs means you're autistic. Like, guys, come on, can we have some more critical thinking here? That is not what is being said. Neurodivergence or not, if Nate doesn't want to go and Nate has said no, don't put it on him. If I put myself in Tyler's shoes and I can't comprehend the fact that someone would not like strip clubs full stop, I am living under a rock. I have not talked to enough people in my life that have different worldviews. So yeah, I agree with that comment. OP is being way too generous to Tyler. Tyler is either incredibly sheltered, which I do not believe, or he's intentionally obtuse. Either way, the point still stands. Tyler and his mates were in the wrong, and yet they tried to make it out to be like OP was an asshole for warning his brother ahead of time and not putting everyone through a terrible experience. Still, not the asshole. Thank you for protecting your brother once again, OP. I hope they learn from this and know not to do it again in the future because, fool me once. Thank you for the story. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend said I'm the prettiest when I shut up in front of his friends. My boyfriend, 25 male, and I, 22 female, were invited to a birthday party of his friend. The people at the event were all close friends of his from his contract job, and I barely know these people. Everything was going fine, and my boyfriend was clearly having a great time, but at some point, I was telling a story from my school days when my boyfriend interrupted and said, "You know, OP is prettiest when she shuts up." Everyone laughed, and my boyfriend just kept going, saying, "You guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking. I swear to God, sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity." Or something along those lines. I'm usually really introverted, but when I warm up to someone, I'm the type to talk a lot. So when he said those words, I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, especially since he said it so casually in front of people that I don't even know. I tried to brush it off, but I got quiet after that. Later, after the party was over, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He rolled his eyes and said that I was being too sensitive and that it was just a joke and I was making a big deal out of nothing. He said that I embarrassed him by acting cold for the rest of the night and that I should learn to take a joke. He also told me that if I couldn't learn to lighten up, maybe I shouldn't come to events with his friends anymore, even though he was the one who asked me to come in the first place. I feel so awful and confused. Am I in the wrong for getting upset and killing the vibe? In the comments, Zucchini says, "Not overreacting. Your boyfriend straight up doesn't like you. If he feels so emboldened to insult you in front of his friends, this behavior will only get worse. OP, why would you want to be with someone who thinks savagely making fun of his girlfriend in front of people that she barely knows is a good joke? This was not good-natured teasing. It was quite insulting. Of course your feelings were hurt. Then, after all of this, he dismisses your feelings? Time to find a new boyfriend." Well, he not only dismissed her feelings, but flipped it around and said that she embarrassed him by acting cold in front of his friends. Then basically tells her that if she doesn't enjoy his emotional abuse, that she shouldn't come to any other get-together with him. She should run, not walk, as fast as she can, and let him be someone else's problem. Life is too short to settle. A Clownfish fan says, "He does not like you. That is what I gathered from this story. There's people who wouldn't say that about you. I'm sorry that happened. He's an abusive asshole. I had an ex like that. He never liked it when I spoke out about things. Any man who basically tells you to shut up when you're just telling a story about something is not someone that you should be with. Leave him. It only gets worse with the controlling behavior." Damn, there's some other banger comments down here too, like, if someone says you're too much, don't be less, just be gone. If you can't match my freak, guys, don't step into the arena. Much like the last episode with the mum publicly humiliating the son all the time, it's not cool to publicly humiliate your partner for laughs. I don't agree with it. It's insanely disrespectful to then, minimize, I guess, his behavior by saying, "Actually, I'm not the problem, you're just too sensitive." Oh, come off it, mate. Shut up. Stop doubling down, just apologize, correct the behavior, stop upsetting your partner. But no, actually, this is a you problem, and I'm gonna keep doing me. That's the vibes I'm getting from this guy. And if your partner is gonna give you that energy, just walk away from that relationship. Is it ever going to get better if they don't want to be better people? Seriously? Everyone's always oh, Reddit is so harsh on this. They're so disconnected from reality. But in this situation, are they really? Are they really disconnected from reality? I don't think so. Sorry guys, Snarky Marky making a return. And now, onto the update, 2 days later. I broke up with him. We had been dating for 2 years, and it was the first time he'd acted that way. So I was genuinely conflicted, and I wasn't sure if the joke really flew over my head or not. But I decided to leave. It takes me a lot of effort to come out of my shell, and I feel uncomfortable to stay with someone who doesn't like that. My self-esteem is usually really low, but this time I spoke up for myself once in a long time. We broke up over text. It sucked since he kept bringing up all his contract job friends over me again and again. These are people that he acquainted with less than 7 months ago, so that alone told me some things. I guess I won't be missing anything since he ended our text with, "Bye, I don't give a fuck." Oh my god. What an asshole. Thanks for all the sweet comments. At the time I wrote the post, I was feeling really down and cried a lot. I'm a bit sensitive, so I teared up reading some comments. Thanks again, and I hope everyone has a nice day. In the comments, Away Elephant says, "Proud of you, girl. Go get yourself some food and flowers and enjoy a movie. Self-care and happiness is best." I foresee him begging you for forgiveness in the near future when he realizes his work friends don't really give an F about him long term. My ex did something similar. We went everywhere together. I drove him everywhere due to no license or car, and I didn't realize that he viewed me as a taxi service. I thought that he loved being around me like I did him. We ran into the parents of a girl that he never dated, but liked in high school, years down the road, and he blew up at me in front of them that I was like his shadow and never gave him any space. I just replied, "Oh, I didn't realize a man with no ability to drive himself anywhere needed space." I walked myself to the car and didn't gain more self-respect for years. The Door Doesn't Work says, "Honestly, if my coworker said that about his girlfriend in front of me, I would never see him the same way again. He wouldn't be John the pretty good at Excel or John the trustworthy. He would be John the stay the fuck away, he's not right in the head." Pretty much, yeah. And given the vast majority of people don't want to start shit with work colleagues, what'll happen next is they'll just keep their distance. OP's ex is probably unaware that he's not going to be making any work friends, and his contract is unlikely to be extended as word gets around. I just don't get that. How do people have so little self-awareness that oh, my actions might have consequences? No, actually, they make me feel good because I have no self-awareness. Brother is 25 years old. Is this his first job? Is this the first time he's had a job? Does he not realize that people are going to judge him? I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, I really do, but I just feel like some guys are so dumb. What is that text? Bye? I don't give a fuck. What is wrong with you? What a childish way to break up with someone, and then what a childish way to act around everyone else. Is the only reason he was dating OP just for easy access to sex? That has to be the only reason why. I love happy endings. I love that you did break up with him, OP. You deserve so much better. Again, thank you for a happy ending. It is much needed. Our next post is by user Don't Call Me Baldy, titled, "Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep?" For context, a relative of what used to be a close friend of mine, whom we'll call Gary for this story, contracted cancer. I, mid-20s male, was sympathetic and even contributed $100 to a donation pool for their treatment. But Gary came to me one day and took his hat off to reveal a freshly shaven head. He told me that everyone in his family were doing it in support of his relative, and so were a lot of our mutual friends. He then asked that I get on the bandwagon. I told him that I didn't want to shave my head because I like my hair. My hair is black, regularly combed, and well-styled. He said that I could just get a wig or something, and had actually brought his shaver kit. He was unboxing it when I told him that this was not happening. I don't even really know his relative that he's doing this for, so I'm not doing it. End of discussion. He called me an asshole and left angry. We didn't speak for a week. And then last Saturday, I got invited to a party at another close friend's house. There I found out that Gary had tried the same thing on several other friends, and only a couple of them actually did shave their heads. Gary wasn't at the party, so I had a blast hanging out, playing video games, and listening to rock music. But I had way too much to drink and couldn't drive home, so they said that I could just sleep upstairs. I passed out on a bed, and it was a blissful sleep until I was shaken awake by another friend who told me that Gary had shown up late and they caught him shaving my head while I was passed out. I saw what looked like a mirror and wanted to scream like I was in a horror movie. Gary even shaved off one of my eyebrows. Jesus Christ, Gary. Bro said just a little off the top and took the rest. Gary was still there and acting proud of himself, saying, "Now you're gonna have to shave off the rest, just like me, lol." I was furious and called the cops. When they got there, Gary fully admitted to what he had done to me and even said he was justified. The police didn't seem to think so, as this is classified as a form of assault. They asked me if I wanted to press charges, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Hell yes." Gary cussed me out while they took him away in cuffs. I tried to get my hair restyled into something presentable, but there was no saving it, and now I'm bald too. Now a bunch of Gary's family are telling me to drop the charges because Gary was off his meds and he didn't mean to do it. I was like, what the hell? Because I never knew that he was on meds to begin with, but I still refuse to drop the charges. It'll take months to grow my hair back to the way that it was. But all of the calls and messages from Gary's relatives are starting to get to me. Just about everyone else in our friend group has cut Gary out though, and say that I'm doing the right thing by not dropping the charges. So now I'm divided. Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep? Edit. I just want to make something clear here. So many people have said things like, dude, it's just hair. But would they be saying that if I wasn't a man? What if I was some girl that had hair that took years to grow? Would they be saying the same thing? Sure, hair grows back, but it takes time. If it was something that grew back fast, people would be less inclined to care. But it's not fast, it takes months, and for some who had long hair, years. That's a lot of time wasted growing. And I don't plan on pushing for Gary to go to prison, but I don't plan to drop the charges either. His family already bailed him out, and while I didn't know that he was on meds, I knew he had quite the temper and even an entitled attitude at times. One example being a lunch where he wanted us to all combine the check and split it evenly. He got the most expensive thing on the menu. I got a cheeseburger. When we all said no, Gary went off on us for not being good friends. He's always been an asshole when he doesn't get his way, and I've known him for like 3 years. This incident was the last straw for not just me, but a lot of other mutual friends. As for the charges, I don't want to send Gary to prison, but I would like him to get some therapy and community service. With the way Gary has acted around me in the past, and what he did to me, I actually wonder how long before he got more violent. I've seen and heard him getting in fights for less. Edit 2, I've got many comments from people saying, "You're the asshole, he has cancer." If you actually read what I posted, Gary's not the one with cancer. A relative of his that I don't know does. And no, I don't know what kind of cancer, because Gary didn't elaborate. He wanted me to shave my head for this person, and when I refused, he left in a tantrum, and then shaved my head while I was passed out drunk at a party. In the comments, Ghostess Hostess asks, "But did you shave the other eyebrow to even out the regrowth?" And OP says, "Unfortunately, yes, I had to." Not the arsehole. Being off the meds may be a reason, but it's never an excuse, and that was definitely assault. In fact, if you haven't already told the police, make sure they know that Gary previously asked you to get on the bandwagon, said he'd shave it for you while unpacking his equipment, you refused, and he verbally assaulted you. He knew that you didn't and wouldn't consent, but did it anyway while you were unconscious. Block Gary and his relatives from everything. Try not to get upset when you can't avoid a mirror, and hope that your hair grows back better than before. OP says, "The police know every detail about Gary that I've given here, save for his family harassing me, which I intend to tell the police about ASAP." Scotty Button says, "Not the arsehole. Lucky for you, the only difference between a bad haircut and a good one is a couple of weeks. Maybe a couple of months for you though. Sorry, bud." And OP says, "It'll be a couple of months, sadly. It'll probably take 5 months to get my hair back to looking as good as it was." OP, in regards to if his other friends knew about this, says, "My friends all want nothing to do with Gary anymore. They didn't egg him on, they had no idea he was gonna do what he did." Lumpy Passenger says, "Actually, if you're gonna talk to the DA, they may be able to offer him a plea where he needs to stay on meds/go into treatment. Not the arsehole." OP says, "I already figured not much was going to happen since I wasn't harmed other than my hair. Whatever deal he takes in court, if he gets one, won't really matter to me. What does matter to me is that this due process makes him realize just how badly he screwed up, meds or no meds." And OP, in regards to if Gary brought his own shaving kit, he used some stuff that was in the bathroom next door to the room that I was sleeping in. He didn't bring his own. but I can see why you'd think that. It's far from the first time that I've passed out at a friend's house, and Gary knew that. In fact, he was probably waiting for it. If anything, this has been a wake-up call to get my drinking under control. Info: how did he get into the house? You are 100% not the asshole and should press charges, but who let him in that house? It was someone else's place, and I'm assuming he either came in super late or early in the morning. The reason I'm asking is that in addition to Gary, someone let him into the house, and I would be interested to know the reasoning. And OP says, Gary got in because they let him in. They figured his tangent about hair was over. He tried to convince a bunch of them to shave their heads like he did to me, and none of the people there let him do it. My guess is he singled me out because I was passed out. If not me, it could have been anyone else there if they'd passed out drunk instead. I guess for me personally, I wonder if you do take this to the police, whether they'd even take it seriously. Does this have to be escalated to small claims court or above to get a serious judgment? Yes, on the surface, it definitely is assault. It is something that was done to you while unconscious. If you have a good lawyer, I'm sure they could throw a bunch of things at it. But I really just do question how serious any enforcement is going to take this, because more often than not, I've seen them not take this, nature of crime serious at all. OP was done incredibly dirty in this situation, and I'm genuinely surprised he didn't beat the shit out of Gary when he woke up after seeing what happened to him. Because Gary deserves it. Gary deserves 3 black eyes for what he did to OP here, and I'm sure no one would argue with it, and everyone would back OP up for doing so. I don't care if an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. Gary deserves it. If he gets away with doing something like this to OP, who's to say he doesn't get emboldened to do something worse to someone next time? His actions deserve serious consequences. Screw Gary, not the asshole OP. And now, onto the updates, 1 year later. So a friend of mine just showed me a video yesterday in which my old video post had been read. Honestly, I'd nearly forgotten about it since I was only there to ask if I was the asshole or not. And since I don't want to go through the pain of trying to do an update on Am I the Asshole, I thought I would just do it here since entitled spells out Gary pretty well. Other than the shaving incident, he tried to get us to partially pay for his food multiple times by combining the checks and dividing it equally when he always got the most expensive thing on the menu, and once even pulled the "I forgot my wallet" bit. He was described as a neckbeard by multiple people, including women that he flirted with. He tried to get a married neighbor woman that was older than him to have an affair with her, and then later egged her apartment door when she refused. That one I only learned about a couple of months after my original post. And no, Gary never saw consequences for doing that. I also learned he stole several video games and DVDs from friends, mooched food and drinks out of their fridges, and even went through a period as a squatter for 2 months by refusing to leave a house that he had been let into by a former tenant, and the landlord actually paid him to leave. Gary's also an extreme hypocrite that contradicted himself more than a corrupt politician. For example, 1 minute he'd be anti-vax, the next he'd be complaining about other people who weren't getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Pretty sure he never got it too. I can't believe I ever had any sympathy for this man. OP does a recap, I'll skip to the end, and he was laughing his butt off over having done it, so yes, the rest had to come off. I ended up pressing charges on Gary for assault, and found out that he had been on meds for a mental disorder for years, and he had stopped taking the meds, which is one of the reasons why he was so loopy. But his tune changed pretty quick when the police arrested him, since what he had done qualifies as assault. Gary's family harassed me and tried to make me drop the charges. I not only didn't drop the charges, but I reported the harassment to the police. The only problem is that it didn't bloody stop. In fact, it got worse. Mainly from Gary's mother, whom I can see where Gary got his charming personality from. She showed up to my apartment a couple of weeks after the shaving incident to scream at me that I knew nothing about what they were going through, and a little hair wasn't a big deal. I told her that my hair was a big deal to me, and what Gary did was inexcusable. Well, that earned a slap on the face, followed by a swift kick to the nuts, followed by a few more kicks to my body after I went down. It was all recorded by a camera that I had watching the front door, as the landlord wouldn't let me put in a Ring doorbell camera. One of my neighbors saw her and screamed that they'd be calling the police. Gary's mum ran, and I ended up going to the hospital with minor injuries. Mostly just bruises, a black eye, and a sore groin. Gary's mother got arrested, and I filed a lawsuit against her for attacking me. I saw her in court twice for both her assault on me and the lawsuit that I filed for her assault. This woman had taken several self-defense classes over the years, so she knew how to fight. That had the judge consider her to be a trained individual, and she was sentenced to 6 months in jail, given 2 years probation, and ordered to pay my medical bills. She actually cried to the judge about the money, but he wasn't having it. It took some time to see her in court again for my lawsuit against her, as she was out of jail by then. I was awarded $10,000 for the harassment, emotional damages, and lost work hours, and she had to pay all court and lawyer fees, which she cried about again because she didn't want to pay anything to the man who had ruined her and her son's lives. But she had the money for both court cases because she had no problem paying. But around that time, I heard Gary's relative with cancer passed away. I don't know any details, just that they passed on. I admit that was sad, but I never knew this person. Gary made their condition his hill to die on when he tried to make an example out of me. Gary got some probation and community service for what he did to my hair, and he cut contact with our entire friend group and eventually moved away. Where to? I don't know, but I don't care either. As for my hair, well, it grew back just fine. Took nearly half a year to get back to how it was. My boss had me put out of sight for a while, and I was wearing a hat everywhere for at least a month. I did take that $10,000 that I got in the lawsuit and combined it with my savings for a down payment on a house, so I've since moved into a much better abode. I also have a girlfriend now that's living with me. It was a bit soon for her to move in, but there were extenuating circumstances. We're happy making it work though, and I'm happy. In the comments, Mountain Dream says, "Here's the thing. As a man, you're reluctant to fight back against a woman, but she's no lady either. Don't ever just let someone slap and kick you because you refuse to fight back. Also, did the mother shave her head?" And OP says, "No, she didn't shave her head, unless she had a wig on, which I doubt. I don't know how many people in Gary's family did shave their heads, because his mother was the only one of the relatives that I saw in person since the shaving incident. Otherwise, all the harassment was online and over the phone, and yes, I was reluctant to strike back. But that old woman was faster than she looked, and that shooting pain from being kicked in the nuts is something that I never want to feel again." Darcinia says, "Reaction 1. I wish more people saw the hair altercation as an actual attack. You can't even look at yourself the same way for days, weeks, or months afterwards. It's a very personal crime in my opinion. I'm also annoyed at the commenters who missed that Gary's not the one with cancer." And reaction 2, a person connected to the interpersonal conflict showed up at OP's house and physically attacked them, resulting in hospital and arrest? You don't say. The other reason for involuntary hair alteration being a big deal is the built-in risks of a razor or scissors being close to the resisting person's head. They try to get away an unlucky way and get cut open by a deadly weapon. And you know Gary wouldn't have thought to sanitize the thing properly first. That could lead to bloodborne infections and possibly even STIs, depending on what happened with it before. I hate it when people use the "I was off my meds" excuse. Motherfucker, it's your responsibility to take your meds. Anything you do because you failed in that responsibility is purely your own fault. I'd have more understanding if it was an undiagnosed condition, like a first manic episode for bipolar, but if they were already on a treatment plan and it was working, no real excuse anymore. Behind every bipolar fuckwit like Gary is an enabling parent or parents who pretend that their adult train wreck isn't responsible for their actions when it's their responsibility to take their medication. Source, getting divorced from a bipolar fuckhead who decided that he didn't want to take medication anymore and proceeded to ruin everyone's life, but mummy has suddenly decided that it's everyone else's fault and won't push him to get treatment. In fact, she's actively obstructing it. Dude, I love the comments. I love the comments so much. It's like, sometimes so much better than the story itself. Like Christ, getting divorced from a bipolar man who refuses to take the medication, and mum's like, "Actually, that's your fault, not his. He's perfect. I love him. If you see me with an unhinged son, mind your business. He loves me." Also, this story was so Australia coded. This is like the most Australian story I've had in a while. Oh, bloody hell. The Sheilas kicked me in the nuts. What was I supposed to do? But yeah, not to make too much light of a terrible situation. OP never deserved any of that. Gary is just a fuckwit. Gary needs to go take a long walk off a short pier and really think about what he's done and leave everyone else alone. His mum can come with him, that's for sure. Sorry that you got assaulted like that by Gary's mum, OP, but at least that led to the assault by Gary being taken seriously on you as well. There is some light at the end of that tunnel. And that leading to you getting a house deposit in this climate? We'll take the good with the bad. Absolutely we will. Thanks for the story, OP. I hope you're doing better now. Sorry you experienced that again, but life goes on, I guess. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.